there's a lot of people here. What I thought we would do is we each have a little bit of information to give you on the programs that we offer here at Maryville College. So I'm going to introduce you a little bit to the college and STEM in general. And then I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Buongiorno, who's going to talk about the programs in the natural sciences. And then she'll hand it back to me, talk a little bit about math and computer science and engineering. And then Lindsay will round this out with a little information about the Scott Science Scholars Program. Okay, so hopefully there's something here for everyone. What I wanted to do was encourage people that if they have a question while we're speaking, the chat is not operationable, or is it chat? There it is. We'll each be watching the chat for the others, and so if you'd like to put a question into the chat, we'll try to address those as we go. That way we don't have to wait all the way to the end to address some of your questions. And I'm sure that if you have a question, somebody else has the question. So please ask the questions. It's really important. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. We're not here to interview you. We're here to give you information about what we have to offer. Okay, so that said, I'm going to start just by saying that at Maryville College, we are STEM. Okay, so we often don't think of small colleges as STEM places to be, but in fact, they really are. If I can get to this and click it. There we go. First, a little about Maryville College. I've kind of put us on the global map there. I know we have lots of international students. We are in East Tennessee, which is in the southeast of the United States. It's a beautiful region. We're right near National Park in the Great Smoky Mountains. For those of you who are from out of the country or those of you who are from a different part of the country, this is a really gorgeous part of the world. So you have lots of neat opportunities to see gorgeous things when you're here. Nature, but also we have some large cities, Memphis, Nashville, and Knoxville, which is just 20 minutes away. Knoxville is. Memphis is a little further. Nashville is kind of halfway in between. All of these cities, though, mean that there's a lot of opportunities for employment and a lot of great STEM opportunities for students because of where we're located. Oak Ridge National Lab is just up the way, maybe about a 30 to 40-minute drive, and there is major. It's a multi-billion with a B dollar budget for science research there at Oak Ridge National Lab, and we have many, many students that have done internships and later been hired there. So really a great opportunity for students in engineering especially, but computer science and math, also even chemistry and biology. And then of course, I talked a little bit about the mountains. We have the most visited national park right up the road here. And we do have faculty who do research here. I'm not gonna talk too much about that because I know Dr. Buongiorno has some really cool things to say about that. Okay, so why do you want to major in STEM? I think probably a lot of people think, well, I can get a job and I can get paid good money, and that is true. STEM occupations are growing faster than just average, and so it's definitely a good field to get into if you're interested in it, you love it, and you also want to do well in your life. Notice that median annual wages for STEM occupations are double those of non-STEM. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about all the hard work you have to do to gain a STEM major. Why would you study STEM in Tennessee? In fact, STEM is the largest growing employment sector in the state. And our state has larger growth than the national average. So it's definitely worthwhile to come to Tennessee to do STEM. Knoxville itself, the Knoxville metro area, which we are sort of part of, is in the top third of metropolitan areas nationally for STEM jobs. And of course, I already mentioned Oak Ridge National Lab, which is right down the street. I have somebody with a hand raised. I don't know what that means. Can you put something in the chat for us? Can you find the chat? I'll wait and see if he finds the chat, or she. Okay, so why would you study STEM at a small college? A lot of people think if you want to do STEM, you should go to a large R1 university. In fact, students that come to smaller places tend to be accepted faster or have higher acceptance rates to graduate and professional schools. They tend to graduate on time and in STEM more often than students who go to large universities. And our programs are built to give you the kinds of hard and soft skills that are going to make you really attractive to employers. Okay, so I'm going to hand it off to the fabulous Dr. Bongiorno to talk to you about natural sciences. I think I need to stop share so you can share.
Yeah, do I have privileges? Do you know?
I think we made you.
All right, let's take a peek. Okay. Are you able to see my first slide?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Okay, so I am new faculty in the Division of Natural Sciences here at Maryville College, and within the division, we actually have several different majors. So the first major that I'd like to highlight is biology. And as you can see here, a lot of our biology courses are actually held outside. We frequently take field trips to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We also have our own little private oasis right behind Maryville College called Maryville College Woods. It's a 160-acre natural laboratory with a disc golf course and some hiking trails and ponds and stuff. Yeah, so we do organismal biology. That's introduction to life on Earth. So plants and animals. We also have cellular biology. We have a wonderful genetics course that's very popular with our students, as well as an ecology and evolution course that upper division students take. In addition to biology, you can also be a chemistry major. And this is where you'll do a lot of your wet lab bench stuff. And unlike a lot of other institutions where you follow like cookbook labs and you buy the lab manual and you do the same experiments each and every semester, the creativity that we have within our department allows you to get some hands-on experience with instrumentation and analyses that you wouldn't otherwise. So we have, you know, your standard general chemistry and your physical chemistry, but what's special about us is we have this partnership with an industry leader called Cornerstone Analytical right in our building that I'm in right now. And he has all of this scientific instrumentation that costs millions and millions of dollars. And you, as an analytical chemistry student, get to work and train on that instrumentation. It's really exciting. I absolutely never had an experience like that at my undergraduate institution. And you can bridge the two, chemistry and biology, with biochemistry. And so here we have a student who was highlighted, I noticed in previous slides. This is now, I guess, Dr. Yoder. She is a alum of Maryville College. I went to graduate school with her at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. Yeah, so that's how I was able to recognize her from the website. But she was a biochemistry major here. She got to do a little bit of chemistry, but more focused on biological interactions with chemical systems. And what I'm particularly excited about is we are developing a major for environmental science, but right now it's a minor. So there are environmental science courses that you can take within the division that, again, gets you outside, gets you playing in water and dirt and the woods, which I love. It's not for everybody. But here we have a picture that was just taken from the video for the convocation of our new president. That's me with my lab teaching assistant, who is an undergraduate. So you would have opportunities to be a lab assistant as an undergrad. That's again, pretty rare. And here we have Bryce Bales, a S-Cube scholar from this past year. Okay, so you might be wondering, what makes Maryville College different? You've probably done a number of tours at other institutions and probably heard the same rigmarole, but I want to take you through a few of the distinctive things that Maryville College has that sets us apart. So first, we have special topics courses that are taught by leaders in the field who have very specific scientific expertise that they want to share with you. So for instance, myself, I'm teaching an Earth System Science course, which I'm super excited that I just built this augmented reality sandbox. So if you come to Maryville College, you'll get to be one of the first people that get to play with this augmented reality sandbox in my class. But in addition to that, I also do a lot of bioinformatics. So understanding genetic sequences of microbes and viruses and how that interacts with the environment. We also have a lot of field-based laboratory courses. As I mentioned, this gets you outside, getting messy. Just a couple highlighted here: comparative vertebrate zoology and invertebrate zoology. This is just a image of the students that I had last semester in the fall for my organismal biology course. And then, of course, we have bench-based laboratory experiences like microbiology or developmental biology. My favorite part, though, is that you get to do science abroad. There are so many opportunities for you to do science not here, elsewhere. So just specifically highlighting some of the most popular activities that students enroll for. You can do this course in Bonaire, which is in the Caribbean, and you get to be scuba certified and study coral reef ecology. And that is taught by Dr. Unger, and you can enroll as early as your freshman year. You can start investigating the process and signing up. In addition to that, there's also this trip to New Zealand where you study the wildlife and ecology there. But that isn't to say that's the only opportunities to study abroad. There are lots of other ones. So I'd encourage you to, as early as you can, if you decide to come to Maryville College, start investigating these awesome opportunities. Something else that makes Maryville College different is the student research. As was mentioned by Dr. Siopsis, it's often thought that those research intensive universities are going to prepare you the best to go off to graduate school. Really, it's the research experience that teaches you the best to go to graduate school. And as a senior, you are required to do an independent research project of your choice. Okay, so here are just a couple of images of some of our fantastic students doing field work. So this specifically is my student, Claire Willenbrook. She's interested in looking at the biogeochemical cycling and aquaponic systems. So we have a partner in the neighboring town who wants to help with these research projects, and he welcomes us over anytime to take samples and take measurements. We also have other field ecologists. We have this really interesting American chestnut orchard that we are responsible for maintaining. And of course, that's right for research opportunities for students. And then of course, we want to showcase the fantastic work that our undergraduates do at local symposia and meetings and conferences. And some specific opportunities, you could perhaps work with me. I'll just describe a few of the systems that I'm interested in. First, I study extreme microbiology at hot springs. This is particularly an image from our field campaign in Argentina in 2019. I'm behind the camera, so of course I'm not in the photo, but this is our international team of volcanologists, geologists, petrologists, microbiologists, and biologists, all trying to answer how life can live at such extremes and what that means for life on other planets, for example. In addition to that component, I also did my PhD research looking at the microbial response to climate change at the top of the world. So this is Svalbard at 79 degrees north. If you have no idea what Svalbard is, because I didn't, it sits here. It's an archipelago that's really, really close to the North Pole. So I got to look at Arctic marine sediments in these fjords. So basically, I got to play with mud for my PhD, which I think is fantastic. So those are just a couple of opportunities that I have for student research, and I'd be happy to chat with you about any ideas that you have. So now I think I'll pass it back over. If I can stop sharing. How do I stop share? Stop share. Oh, Maria, you are muted.
It's not a Zoom meeting if one person doesn't try to talk while they're muted. So here, so I did that. Okay, so thanks so much, Joy. That was really awesome. I'm going to talk a little bit about my own division now. I work in the Division of Math and Computer Science. I am a mathematician. I am an applied mathematician. So my interests are really in what we can do with math in the real world. And I have colleagues who have interests in abstract mathematics, the world of mathematics that is so beautiful and so amazing. And I think a lot of students really love when they learn about that stuff too. We also have faculty who are statisticians. We have a faculty member who is our education faculty member. And what's really cool about our faculty is that 3 of them have experience in the field. Actually, 4. 4 have experience in the field. So we have people, we have somebody who worked for a long time in data analytics, and she is the one who built our analytics program, which is great. Dr. Bay, who's our chair, also worked as a statistician for Merck, I believe, a pharmaceutical company. I'm sure, I can't remember if it was Merck or not. And Dr. Ross worked in a high school for a long time before he got his PhD and became our math education person. So we have a lot of actual real world, non-academic experience in our ranks. So our majors include computer science. This is a major for folks who are, if you are the kind of person who likes to solve problems and puzzle out how to solve problems, this is a really good major for you. And also, if you're a person who really likes to work with people in other disciplines, oftentimes computer scientists work with business people, they work with biologists, they work with politicians, they work all over the place, helping create things that solve problems for other people. A lot of them work even in the nonprofit world. And of course, people know, I don't know, maybe people don't know, but this is one of the highest paid things you can do, is if you know how to code, you will be definitely employed and you will be paid well for it. So if that is something you enjoy, then that is a really great fit. We also have an engineering major, which I am the advisor for. And that is a special program that's called a dual degree program, because of our small size, we can't really offer the kinds of large engineering labs that are required. So instead, what we do is we offer you all the wonderful general ed requirements, all those good classes that make you a well-rounded, interesting human being who knows how to speak and write. And at the same time, we get you ready for the engineering technical courses that you will take when you transfer to an engineering school. And so typically students will spend 3 years at Maryville and then 2 years at an engineering school, and they will get 2 degrees, one from Maryville and one from the engineering school, both bachelor's degrees. And I will tell you, there isn't a semester where I don't get a phone call where somebody in an engineering firm says, who are your graduates that you have this year? I want a Maryville grad. And that is because of all those extra skills that you get from Maryville that are not simply technical skills, but definitely those kinds of skills that make you a successful, good person to have in a company. So our engineering program is a little bit different, but I think very, very strong. So definitely consider that. Our math major it allows students to really explore either abstract or applied mathematics. We have, our program includes coursework in both of those. We encourage students to do at the same time a computer science or a statistics minor. I don't know a math major who didn't get scooped up after graduating somewhere. And they just know you can think. So if you want to learn how to think analytically, get some computing skills, be really quantitatively literate, this is a really good program for you if you like mathematics. And finally, we have business analytics, which is our much more applied program. And that is kind of a combination of our statistics, mathematics, computer science, and business programs. So if you're thinking about business analytics, it is really about big data. So it's very, very popular, very hot right now. We have had high success getting students both from the analytics major or from the math major hired to do analytics in places. So this is another very good major, and it's great for those of you who would like to work in the business world and apply those skills in those very lucrative places. So if you think about, this is another major where if you want to work with people from outside of your area, you want to work in politics, they will scoop you up if you can do data. Do you want to work for a corporate entity, a Kroger, Discovery TV happens to have their offices right here in Knoxville, and they have hired several of our students and alums. Trying to think, Pilot Corporation, which is a large, basically gas station and mini mart kind of thing, also hires a lot of people. So there are mathematicians, computer scientists, and statisticians hidden in all these places. And I think a lot of people don't realize how many of them there are, and the variety of kinds of places you can work. And speaking of a couple of the things, as Dr. Bongiorno was speaking, I thought I should tell you that we just got a donation from an alum from the 1960s who donated a large sum of money so that each year we can fund a student from our division to study abroad. And so that is phenomenal. An alum who majored in math, and he met his wife here at Maryville, approached one of our former colleagues who is retired now, and they made that all happen. So I literally just found out about that today. If we're talking about research, another recent news story is that 2 weeks ago, one of our former students got his senior study published in an undergraduate research journal. So we've got students doing really cool work in all kinds of different areas. So these are good things to know. Here are just some recent internship placements. So, our students are gaining those very real world skills in industry and in research. And here are some recent places students have been hired. So Clayton Homes is a local company that builds homes. KUB is our local utility board. Of course, Amazon and IBM, probably. Perfect Serve is a company that is a support for medical services. So all kinds of varied placements for our students. And I think that's what makes it so interesting, is that you can major in this very quantitative field that people usually think is very narrow, but then you can kind of go in all kinds of different directions. So that's really wonderful. So I think it's time to pass it on. It is. There's wonderful Lindsay. And Lindsay's going to talk about our Scott Science Scholars Program.
Mm-hmm. So she's gonna help me DJ the PowerPoint a little bit, but I'm gonna run through some things. I think the very first thing I want to talk about that I would like to piggyback off of Dr. Siopsis with is, we know that a lot of classes, like she said, you think mathematics is being sort of narrowed and you think you know what it's about, but we know that we can look up computer coding online and all those things, but what these places want when you get hired is they want that ability to think analytically. And so that is really in the field, in the sciences too, Dr. Bongiorno can attest to, they want you to be able to think on your feet in a moment where you need to come up with what to do. And so that is what you might not be able to teach yourself. And so I think that comes from building a community, being in classes, learning from professors. I just wanted to piggyback that off to start, because I think that's a very important part of why do you go to a school, pay money to go to a college to learn these things, because it's more than just the literal skill that you're learning, if that makes sense. So in STEM in college, and this is in no way to freak you out or anything, but where I kind of come in is I was a high school teacher for a while, and now running the tutoring centers and stuff here. And I know where you're coming from, and I know kind of where you need to get. And so I like to be that step in between to sort of help everybody along. And of course, it's a higher difficulty. I think that is a line that gets overused a lot. We hear that in middle school. We hear, you're not going to get away with this in high school. High school, we hear you can't get away with this in college. And that sort of becomes a line that's just repeated. But really what it is this faster pace of material with less time in class. And so, not to be scary, but you are expected to be able to schedule your time around what you need to get done. You're expected to understand very quickly how you need to take your notes and review them. You're also expected to sort of learn how to use your community of people around you to help support what you need. And so it becomes, in this day and age, a lot of you are used to independent learning with COVID and what we've had to do. But aside from that, it really does become more, you have to learn how you independently can learn things. And so you're going to have more science and math classes at a time, more difficult classes at a time, and you've got to learn how to juggle that with your labs, with office hours, and you have to learn who you are comfortable reaching out to and reach out to that person. And that's something that we try to help you learn as quickly as possible, because those are the keys to success, not only in school, but in the professional world as well. So I think the next one we talked about research and what you can do as to being, you see here that these are papers that are published. The paper that Dr. Siopsis just talked about, that Nico worked on, he worked on that as an undergrad, got published as a graduate student, but he was also one of the tutors in our tutoring center. So these publications are from undergrads. They've presented their work. It's a small school, but you have more opportunity to be able to put yourself into these positions. Okay. And so a little bit of what we talked about is this community. So you come in a group, a cohort, and this is one of the freshman cohorts. They've already graduated. This was my first group of babes. And so you come in as freshmen together. This is their first day. You learn about each other. You do a lot of team building activities. Come in 2 weeks early so that you can meet the professors. This year they worked with Dr. Bajorno a lot outside before classes even started. They learned how to keep a lab manual before classes even started. They knew lab safety before classes even started. And then Dr. Siopsis, Dr. Bay helped them learn Excel before classes even started. And so when you show up with your peers, you kind of feel like you have a leg up on that. When Dr. Siopsis is in class and says, oh, if you put this formula in, this will run quickly. And you're looking around at your peers who have only basically put inputs into cells and data in Excel. They're looking at you like, I don't know. And then you can help them. And so that's a big part of those 2 weeks you come in earlier, you build things. In a less COVID-y world, we take field trips to cool places so you can see this work in action. And you start to learn that it's more than just a skill you learned in class. You start to learn that you are learning tools in each of your classes, regardless of what the major is, that you put in the toolbox that you use later. And so I always like to tell my students, the biggest way I think it's different than high school is that you're learning things that you're going to be expected to use very soon. I think we have a question. Do you have to live on campus to be part of the Scott Science Scholars? Is that what that one is?
Yes, and the answer is no, but yes.
Yes.
So you do need to live on campus for the summer part, and that is all paid for. You do not have to pay for housing or food or trips or any of it for the summer part. If you choose that, we do have students who have lived at home. They live nearby, near enough to commute, and that is an option. Yes, you can commute and still be a Scott Science Scholar, but we do ask that you move into campus for the summer part of the program. And I'm assuming that's going to be true again in a post-COVID world. I'm not sure that we did not do that this year just because of the COVID thing.
Yeah, the summer experience you see right here, I want you to see the collection of pictures as a collection, because what you see is everything from obvious team building to doing assignments just like class, to lab equipment, to learning how to use lab equipment, and that's all before school even starts. So that's a very important piece of that. That's what we originally thought, like, hey, this is what students need to feel comfortable. But we learned that what this really did was give you these skills to be able to then transfer them to your classes and beyond and part of your community. What's the other question? What about coming for, can someone see in the chat?
As far as I know, the fact that we did a summer program last summer implies that we should be able to do one this summer. I'm afraid to say out loud that it can't be worse next August than it was the prior one. So we are planning to have one, yes.
We had to be, all of us who were involved in presenting this were an instrumental part of this summer's piece, and you just had to be creative. We still got to do very cool things. We followed safety guidelines. that students were amazingly flexible with us. It took flexibility on everyone's part to be able to make sure that that went well. And then, so the overview of sort of how the Scott Science Scholars Program works is you have that summer experience we talked about, early exposure to research and to the professors as well. So imagine if you've already rolled around in the mud doing things with Dr. Bajorno, when you have her in class for that first day of class, it's not going to seem as scary because you're going to be like, oh, I've had to ask her 100 questions already. I can ask her this one question about the syllabus. That is what we know and what we look for. We're trying to take that we are not accessible, we are scary out of the equation. And we do that very purposefully. We also have the STEM Success Center, and that is what I run. That was what I was originally hired for. And we built that as a place to just like, hey, you need to come and have a structured environment to do some of your homework, to learn what it takes to get that done. And then it became much more, it runs 5 nights a week, Sunday to Thursday from 6 to 9. All first year students are required to get at least 6 hours a week. Most students get more. Freshmen, after they move on to their second, third year, whatever, they sometimes typically come back, even if it's just to pop in and ask a question. One year we had what I called biochemistry night because all the juniors showed up on one night to do their biochemistry homework. So it really is dependent on my tutors. If I could not run this without my tutors, we pick one science and one math that staffs every night. Other tutors are available if I need them, and they're really there to help you. They've been in these classes, they know that it's a struggle, and they know what they have done and adapted to do to be successful. And so it adds another layer where you feel comfortable talking to me, you feel comfortable talking to them, and you're in there studying with your group of peers. This is open to everyone. You don't just have to be a Scott Science Scholar to do it. And you all can come in and sort of learn from that, and learn to work together. And then the STEM event series, which I'm going to piggyback on I just saw you offer pre-med question there. Pre-med is one of our biochemistry tracks. And so we've had students go there. What we do with our STEM event series is because what we have heard a lot from people who come in being STEM majors is you hear engineering, pre-med, vet, pharmacist, all those. And all those we've had people who have majored in them become those. That's great. But there are so many job opportunities that you can do within STEM that you can find what really speaks to you. We had a freshman do one of these earlier, and he said he came in, just pre-med was what it was going to be. And once he worked with Dr. Bajorno on her projects outside, he really realized what else he could add to what he was already interested in. And so that is why the STEM event series is a very key portion of what we do as well. We have professionals in the STEM field come from all over. And we have them talk about their research, we have them talk about what they've done, but more importantly, we have them talk about their path to where they got to be. And so what did that look like for you? Was that a straight shot, or did you find something that you just loved? Because all the people who come talk to us are professionals, they're doing great, they're doing fine, they're happy with what they're doing, but most of them took a different path from what they thought that they would start out with. And so you see here that you have an opportunity to talk to them one-on-one after the event is over and ask them any question. You can ask it to the group, you can talk to them individually. More often than not, they give you their information and say, email me, ask me a question, I'll talk to you. And then if you think smart, that's another networking opportunity that you've just made by asking questions in these events. And so that's another really key portion. We try to have at minimum 4 of those a semester. We have already filled up past 4 for the spring. So no, what else do we need to cover there? I'm going to send this back to Dr. Siopsis for talking about your financial support. The last thing that I will say is that there's no reason not, unless you just absolutely know that it doesn't fit anything you want to do, apply for any scholarships. There's no reason to not do that. You need to apply for scholarships because the money is going to help you. So when you look at them, you might see something that says, oh, that, or well, I've already put my eggs in this basket. There's no reason to not apply for scholarships and follow that money.
And so the SCUP program offers I'm not muted this time, right? Offers $22,000 in a base scholarship. So many of you, if you've already applied and gotten accepted, you may have gotten a merit scholarship already. This scholarship will replace your merit scholarship. If your merit scholarship is below this amount, your merit scholarship will be raised to this amount. If your merit scholarship is above this amount, this scholarship will be raised to match it. Okay, so that 22,000 base scholarship can go up from there if your merit scholarship is higher. Additionally, just for last year and this year, we have up to $10,000 more for talented students who have financial need. So the National Science Foundation has given Maryville College a grant to support more students. You do need to be a US citizen to get the extra money there, and your math ACT must be 24 or above, and your expected family contribution, EFC, if you've done a FAFSA, your EFC has to be below 15,000. So those are the two things you need to know for getting that extra money. The extra is meant to cover what is calculated as unmet need, and it can be up to 10. It won't always be 10 for everybody, but it's supposed to meet your unmet need. There are some other scholarships we offer. There's some diversity scholarships, choir, theater, those kind of smaller scholarships. Those will stack on top of the ones that of these two that I talked about. There's also work study and on-campus jobs. Dr. Bongiorno mentioned Cornerstone Analytical. That's a really good place to work and get hands-on experience. Our tutors for Scott Science Scholars are paid. We have peer mentors for the summer program that get paid every year too, about $1,000 for that. So there are ways to up your financial aid package by doing some of those things. And additionally, if you go to the Career Center and Career Counseling, many of our STEM internship students are paid internships. They will pay you to do it. So that's really wonderful kinds of opportunities for financial support.
Did you see the question we had about what if you took the SAT rather than the ACT?
Oh, we convert that. And I can't think off the top of my head, but when I am not talking, I will look it up and I will answer the question.
Okay.
Okay. We talked about that. Lindsay, tell me, were you skipping this? I think you kind of talked about this.
The only thing that I'll add to that very quickly is that you see how much of a wide range there is. And so we do that on purpose. There's multiple layers that we worked into our advising and our mentoring. The peer mentors are people who we see them and we see that they are excelling in what they're doing. And I mean that on different levels. Some are excelling on having their life together, on being organized, on knowing what classes to take. Some are excelling in the actual lab skills that they're doing. And we look at all of that because all of that counts as excelling. And the professors laughed when I said that because they know that's true. You have some students who can just calculate that on a whim, but man, if they don't set an alarm in their phone for every 15 minutes of something happening, it's a mess. And so we build a group of students who excel at all of these things. We also have all of us. So me, the professors, you'll have an advisor, a first year seminar advisor, all of these people that you can talk to. I always tell students they get in their head that they have to talk to their advisor to get their questions answered. And I say, talk to the professor you are most comfortable with, because we all talk to each other. And so find who you are comfortable with, whether that is a student in your peer group, a peer mentor, me, any of the other professors. And so we're all kind of checking in on you at different layers, if that makes sense.
I think we covered that one.
Yeah. And then I love this part. because really what we're seeking to do here is build your identity from the minute that you start doing lab, from whether it's data analysis lab or out in the field lab or in the chemistry lab, whatever. The minute you start doing that, you are a scientist or a mathematician. The minute you do that. So you don't have to be already through grad school. You don't have to look like Einstein with the fuzzy hair. It is you at that moment. And the more it requires confidence. I'm just going to be honest. It requires confidence to be, especially a minority group, in something especially STEM related. And so the quicker that you build, I am this person and I am this, the further you go and the faster you go. And we really, really work to help you do that. And I'm going to let Siopsis talk about cultural capital a little bit more. But part of what we do is help you learn how to use these terms so that you can compete in the field with others.
Yeah, I mean, cultural capital is basically your access ticket to any given world. So it's the kinds of skills, the kinds of behaviors, the knowing how it works. What does it look like when I'm giving a poster session? What is going to be expected of me? What is expected of me when I'm working in a lab? What is expected of me at an interview in a professional context? All of those things are cultural capital. We start very early building cultural capital with things, simple things like, how do I properly email a professor, which is a professional skill. We move on to, for example, I've got students asking me, I really want an internship with so-and-so at such and such. And I'll say, okay, draft an email and send it to me, and I will, edit it for you so that you're kind of learning what is the expected way to behave. If you send the email in a way that is outside of the cultural norm, sometimes people will be like, who is this coming out of nowhere? This is the access card. So that's what we mean by cultural capital. And we're being very intentional about building that at a variety of levels for you, both how are you a college student, and then kind of moving you into being a STEM professional.
And if I can butt in just very quickly on that with a personal story, I graduated from Maryville College as well, but I graduated with a degree in English literature. At that time, I thought that I wanted to be a professor, became a special ed teacher in high school. When this job came open for the tutoring center, in my cover letter and in my resume, I made it very clear, look, I know I'm coming from teaching special ed high school background. I know I'm going to be working with students who are already smarter than I am in some things. But what I can do is track these students, figure out where they are and where they need to be. And I phrased that in a way that I took my skills out of my toolbox and used them to apply to a different job. And that is part of that cultural capital.
Yeah, so we're going to round out just the presentation part, and then I see there are some more questions that I will, maybe Dr. Buongiorno also wants to jump in and answer, but I just want to make sure there's a mistake here. This should be updated to 22. The math ACT, I mentioned 24 earlier. 24 is for the added amount, by 10,000 up to 10,000. The base scholarship, we open it up to math ACT of over 21 or over. These are the majors that are eligible for Scott Science Scholars. I want to kind of emphasize the score thing, because I know that once you put a number there, students like glom onto that number, and there'll be a student who has a 20 and decides they cannot apply to this. And that is not true. We like to see the scores around 21 or around 24 for the added scholarship. But there are other things that tell us your story that are not scores. So if you're close, apply. The worst that can happen is you don't get it, right? If you apply, the best that can happen is you do. So I just want to encourage you to do that, and make sure you do that. So let me see. I think there wasn't a question about career opportunities in aid. Dr. Buongiorno, do you want to talk about that, or would you like me to? What would you like to do?
I think you're the authority on that. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's scary. Okay, no, I can talk about that. The Career Center offers help from pretty much day one to our students through the first year seminar. And our Maryville College Works program is also embedded into the curriculum for 4 years. So we start in that beginning of your college career. We make sure you have, for example, a working resume. So you'll build a resume in year one. It will be posted on Handshake, which is our, I don't know what to call it. It's a website where lots of different employers will post their jobs. And so you can look at what is being offered. But what's really great is they can look at you. And so even when you're not looking for a job, you can be seen by employers, and they can see your resume, and they can see what major you are and what year you are. So all of that is embedded in what we're doing. Additionally, our career center will do career fairs on campus where local and even not so local employers will come, and you can go around to tables and you can talk to them, and they're there to hire. They're there to talk to our students. In fact, during a career fair, I got a phone call from our career center person, and she was like, you need to come down here because there's this employer down here who really wants to hire engineering majors. So I want you to meet her. And that happened. I went down there, I met her, and one of our students got an internship because of that. So we have embedded that in our programs very intentionally. Your faculty members are always looking out. I'm always sending, Lindsay's always getting copied on emails. I'm always sending job opportunities to the right people. So we are very intentional about that. Let's see. International student. Oh, the visa question is definitely a question for Kirsten Shepard and not for, is Ahmed here? He said he might be here. Our admissions, no, he's not here. If I will try to get him to email you to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
There's a question about a different test besides the ACT or SAT.
Well, yeah, the most recent question, wasn't it?
What if you have?
I believe that's another question for Kirsten. So we'll ask her. We'll ask the International Center for International Education, make sure we get those questions answered, because I'm not sure of those answers, honestly.
I know a little bit. The standard English test helped them know which composition class to put you in, as far as writing the essays, and so that you get placed appropriately with whatever supports grammatically that you might need to then move on into the other classes. You have to write essays for every single class, every single major. That's very important to Maryville College, and so part of that is used for that purpose.
All right, well, I have this final slide, and I'd like to ask all of you, if you would, we have a very brief survey about what you've learned. It's kind of a test. It's not really a test because we don't really know who answered what, but we want to know how we're doing in terms of giving you the information you need. So if you can use your phone and scan that, and I would really appreciate it. And there's one question that asks, where did you hear about these programs? And if you could click that you are at an event. We haven't edited that question to say a Zoom event, but that's what we mean. If you're in an admissions event, if you would click that, so we know that you were at this event, and you can give us some feedback about whether we gave you our message effectively. And I will hang out. Maybe we can, the three of us can hang out for maybe five or 10 more minutes if other people have questions and would like to ask. But otherwise, if you would be so kind as to do the survey, and again, you know all our email addresses, so let us know if you have more questions.
There was a question that Maggie asked about exercise science major that wouldn't qualify, right?
So exercise science is a gray area. So it's not one of the listed majors, but we have in the past sometimes accepted them. So I would say go ahead and apply, especially if you're even thinking about another, like a lot of our exercise science majors are maybe considering, sometimes they're considering biology. And so it's worth it. Yes.
that was what I was going to say. Is along with that exercise science, really it depends on what you want to do, because a lot of the other majors will work into the same type of internships, the same type of programs post-graduation as well. We had a question, sorry, really quickly about the code there. And sometimes it just depends. If you open your camera up and point at it, it'll kind of pop up on top with a link that goes to the website. So
I'm going to try and do it on mine and can we put the link in the chat? I'm going to try to put the link in the chat,
okay.
but I don't know if I can.
It looks like Harrison raised their hand.
Go ahead and unmute if you'd like and ask your question.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm from Kenya. My name is Kalmax.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I would like to know. I would like to do medicine. Which major would be best for me? Which one would you prefer for me?
Joy, do you wanna, or do you want me to?
Either, I would imagine either biochemistry or biology. Those courses are tailored to give you the track of the pre-professional degree. So you can also go onto Maryville College's website and take a look at the courses that are required for each major to see if that speaks to what you're looking for.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I also don't know the answer to the other test either, the WAEC. So I will ask the CIE people so I'm better informed on the next one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Let's see. The link to apply to S-Cubed should be in your portal.
Mhm.
If it is not showing in your application portal, then you might want to tell your admissions counselor, who is probably Ahmed, and he can turn it on for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Maggie, if you're thinking about biology, absolutely you should apply.
Yes.
Harrison, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you.
My name is Harris Nometu.
Hello.
Thank you very much. I am Harris Nometu.
Nice to meet
I would
you.
like you mention something. She said we should expect more than one science or maths class each semester.
Mhm.
Is it science or maths or both science and maths? I don't understand that. Please, can you please explain?
It's honestly sometimes, depending on what it is, both. You know, you might have you will definitely have a lab science class, so science class that comes along with lab, and a math class in a semester. That's pretty common, especially for first year. Some of our students also end up having 2 math classes or 2 lab science classes in one semester too. And that's where, you know, we really come in and talk about time management and talk about reaching out soon and quick when you have questions. I always say it is not a bad thing to have a question. We are more afraid when we don't hear questions, because that's when we know something's wrong.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
so
got that. Thanks very much.
I think also international students are used to college classes being very major only oriented. So maybe this doesn't seem, you're probably wondering why we mentioned that. but in US high schools, often students are only taking one science class or one math class in any semester. And at the college level, of course, you'll be taking more than one.
Thank you.
Hello.
How many
How are you?
students get picked? Somebody.
Hello, how are you?
I need to mute somebody. There we go. Okay, so how many people? It depends on the year. We like to have about 15 students in the program. It seems to be a sweet spot. We have had less. We could have more. If there is a compelling reason to have 17, because we had 17 compelling applicants, we will take 17. I can tell you for the added scholarship, the NSF money, there will be at least 9 of those, and actually at least 10 of those, and maybe more. So this is it's a good number of people.
And everything but the money. So all of the other supports, as far as the tutoring, the events, all of that stuff is open campus wide. So.
Right, exactly. If you don't happen to get picked for S cubed, that does not mean you can't take advantage of a lot of the programming. Definitely the events are open to everybody across campus, and the STEM Success Center we are encouraging people to use.
I think Al-Haji had a question.
Yeah.
Hello, what's your question?
I am Alhaji Bijala from Sierra Leone.
Hello.
Yeah, I want to know if you normally award scholarship to students who are studying in Maryville College that are performing well, other than this scholarship that have been shown at our MVP portal.
I'm not sure I understood the question. I'm not sure I heard the question.
What I'm trying to say is that are there scholarship for students that are performing well in Maryville College outside of this scholarship you've mentioned?
I think he's asking if there are scholarships outside of the ones that we've mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to students that
Yes.
are performing well in class.
Oh, I see. Yes, usually they are based on things like becoming a lab assistant or a tutor. Oftentimes they could be internships that are with off campus. And someone I think mentioned something about are international students eligible for those? And the answer is yes, they can be. There are special visas that you can get for what's called practical training. And so you can get an internship and work as a student.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I saw another question pop up in the chat too, but I might have been wrong about that.
Harrison, do you want to ask another question?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I really want to ask. You mentioned when you talked about what to expect in STEM college, you talked about we should expect higher level of difficulty. I don't understand that. What do you mean by higher level of difficulty?
We mean that compared to being in a high school level class, compared to high school level classes, particularly in the US, these are going to be more intense and faster paced, and you're going to be expected to do more independent work. So we will teach you, but you are also responsible for learning the content by spending time outside of class to do it.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. I understand that. Thank you.
Anyone else with questions? We're happy to answer them.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I would like to know something. I just scanned this code, and it took me directly to STEM. So I needed to understand when they ask about the student type, and then it is mentioned freshman and degree, post bachelorette or transfer. So what is their meanings?
So what you want to do is, if you have already taken classes somewhere at another university or college, then you are a transfer student.
Okay.
Otherwise, you are a freshman.
As you're a freshman, what if you took courses in another college, but then you had already completed and acquired your diploma?
Oh, that's post-bac. Is there an other option?
Yeah, there's post-bac, there's
Yes.
non-degree and freshman and exchange.
I would say post-bac would be the
Post-bac.
best.
Okay. Thank you so much. You have been very helpful tonight.
Well, I'm glad.
It's night over here.
It must be late. Thanks
Yeah,
for staying up so late for us.
yeah. Thank you so much. This is very helpful for me.
Harrison.
I'm sorry for coming back again. You
That's
mentioned
okay.
when you talked about building cultural capital, you said cultural capital is the access ticket to any given roles. What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you think about any kind of profession, there's a certain expectation of behavior in that profession. There's a certain expectation of how you will communicate.
Yep.
There's a certain expectation of even just their gatherings, how they expect you to behave in a gathering. So, for example, if you went to a scientific conference, there's a certain way that people interact at a scientific conference. If you went to a literature conference, they're actually quite different, I found out. So each profession kind of has their own culture. And so trying to help students understand what is the culture of the profession that they are trying to enter and what are the expectations. For many students, if you don't have experience in those cultures, many of our students, for example, come from families where nobody ever went to college. And so they don't quite know what that means to be a college student and what it means to be a professional, a college educated professional, and what it means to be in those circles. So we're trying to help students understand what that new world is like.
Thank you. That means you're talking about that it means ethics, right?
Ethics is part of it, for
Is
sure.
it the same thing as
Ethics is part of it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can I answer any other
God
questions?
bless.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
I'm one of the students who are applying for the pre-med part at Maryville College. I want to know the role of the college in helping students applying to medical school after graduating from the college.
That's a good question. Dr. Brigatti is our molecular biologist, correct? I always get the wrong
I
one.
think she's a microbiologist.
Microbiologist,
Is
that's
it?
it. I always
Yeah.
get the wrong. Anyway,
So-
she's our microbiologist, and she's also the chair of the division. But she also runs. She also helps students make the transition to medical school. So that is a very. We know that it requires some help. You will need to know what the process looks like to apply. You will need letters of recommendation. You will need to know what you need to do to. There will be an interview process to get into medical school as well. And so Dr. Brigatti is kind of our resident person that helps with that.
And we're hiring someone else to also help facilitate that, who will have a background in cell biology. So we have a pre-professional counseling center with books and prep materials for you to help you study, and computers for you to take the applications online. So yeah, we're happy to help.
He also pretty often sends out information just for students in general of, this person is going to be hosting a session at this Zoom link or whatever. And I send those out. All of those.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Harrison, would you like to, let me just pause for a minute before I call in Harrison. I know there are probably some folks in here who have had their questions answered, and I just want to let you know that if you want to say, if you, I'm sure you may have somewhere to be. So we will not judge you if you need to leave. but we want to make sure everyone's questions are answered. So I will stick around and answer any questions, but if you need to go, we also understand that. Harrison, did you want to ask another one? I think you're muted. Harrison has his hand raised, and I'm not sure if he's speaking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I have a question also for you.
Sure.
I'm intending to apply as a transfer student. Actually, I want to know what are the differences, whether you apply as a transfer student or as a freshman student. What is the differences really? Because the only thing I know about transfer is that you should have completed some university courses or college courses that you'll be considered as a transfer. Now, if I have completed them and I have them, then I'm applying. So what are some of the advantages for me applying as a transfer student or as a freshman student?
Well, as a transfer student, what you would do is you would send your transcript, and somebody here would evaluate your transcript to try to match the classes you had with the classes that we offer here. And so you would be exempt from retaking classes that you already have had. And then you could continue on at the level you are at. So if we have students who finish, for example, 2 years at another institution and then transfer. And so when they come to Maryville, they come as juniors and they're taking junior level classes and they can finish sooner. And I guess that's if you have college classes, a significant number of college classes, then yes, transfer is the way you want to do it.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Someone's asking about the engineering schools. So yeah, we have specific schools we have partnered with. There are 4 of them. And then we've had students go to other schools too. So the 4 partner schools are the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, which is our most popular school because it's also very close and also the least expensive, especially for people from Tennessee and state students. So University of Tennessee, Knoxville is one, Tennessee Tech is another one, Vanderbilt is the 3rd one, and Auburn is the 4th one. And we have had students go to Clemson recently and also to Georgia Tech recently. So what I tell students is if Vanderbilt will accept our courses, then anybody will accept our course. CEB. Oh, what's CEB?
Actually, you've been helpful. And the last question before I leave you is that I have been identified as one of the students for the sports science scholars, but it is not in my portal, nor have I received any link for me to get into that particular scholarship link to apply. So I don't know how you can help me
Yeah,
with
you
that.
should let Ahmed know and he can get it turned on for you. So he can give you access. I had another student with the same problem and I just emailed the admissions person and they fixed it somehow on the back end.
Okay.
Don't worry about the CEEB. I know somebody asked that in the chat. Carl did. Don't worry about that. You can leave it blank. That's for U.S. high schools. If you know it. If you don't know it, not important. Anyone else with questions?
Now, as an international student, maybe I've got the $19,000 scholarship, another added scholarship. Maybe I got $24,000 scholarship from the college. So, what is the remaining tuition that I'm going to pay when you?
I'm going to send you a link to the estimated cost, the estimated total cost. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And what I'm sending here includes living on campus.
Okay.
Harrison, did you have one more question? I see your hand up. Oh, and Carl. I can't hear Harrison. You're muted.
Hello.
Oh, you're gonna have to start over again. 'Cause
Program
it sounds like
overview.
your connection kind of went.
One of the, okay, overview.
I need you to re-ask your question.
Concerning the program overview, you mentioned early exposure to research. So I want to ask, at what stage do we start making research? Is it in our first semester, year one, or when?
So
That's my question.
I would, as early as possible, identify a professor with whom you'd like to work. That could be your first semester, your second semester. It's never too early to approach a professor to get involved. But as far as earning credits for coursework, that is the last 2 semesters. So your senior year, you will take in the fall a research course, and then in the spring a research course. But it's never too early to start working towards a project with a professor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Carl?
Just like some clarification on the school type, because once you have graduated, like I graduated, I did nursing in a diploma nursing, and graduated. While I was filling in the school, I did not know which one to take, whether middle school, high school, or grad school, because it's not undergraduate.
I didn't catch that question, Joy. Did you catch it?
What type of program was it you said?
A school type. Let me ask again. I have done a diploma in nursing, and while I was filling in the STEM page, I came across a question called school type, and they needed me to fill in either whether I'm a middle school person or high school, undergraduate or grad school. But I'd already graduated from college, but I was awarded diploma, which is not undergraduate.
Right. I think I know what's happening. I'm not sure, but I think the word college in the United States and the word college in other countries are 2 different things.
Yes.
So when we talk about Maryville College, we are talking about a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So, and bachelor's degrees are typically 4-year degrees.
Yes, yes.
Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it helps answer my question. Then that leaves me for high school, because there's no slot for those who went for diploma and took maybe less than 4 years, like I did 3.5 years.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. You just answer those questions as best you can. Don't worry too much about it.
Okay, thank you so much. And another quick question was about where did I hear this, because we are just having a Zoom meeting. I do not know whether to say I've had it through a college counselor. Would that be right if I say I've had it through a college counselor? STEM.
There's
Yes.
an option for event, right?
There's a choice that says I am at an event at the college, or I am at a recruiting event, something like that. See if I can get to that so I can see.
Okay.
Because, and the reason that one is a little important, because then it will give you extra questions that we need you to answer. So I do want you to answer. Yeah, so the first choice there, talking to an MC STEM representative at an on-campus event or at my high school. That's the answer you want to put there.
Thank you so much. Then I'll be able to answer all your questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I didn't have a specific question, but I just want to thank you guys. You've been helpful all this while.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, I really appreciate. I'm currently a Maryville College applicant. I have already applied, but I haven't received my application admission offer. But I've applied for a couple of scholarships, including Alana and International Diversity. I know I have nothing to do with science. Like I'm not a science major. I'm studying politics, so that's why I didn't apply for that science thing. Yeah, but anyway, I really, I'm really, it's really fascinating. I like every bit of the program. Yeah, thank you.
Well, make sure that if you come to the college, you attend our events anyway, because I tell our students, our science students, that they should go to other people's events to become educated people about what others are doing. So we want our politicians to be science literate.
That's what I was saying. Politics needs science. And we're actually trying to build an entire environmental studies program that bridges science policy with the actual science that's being done. So maybe if you come, we can use you to be a great example of bridging those two worlds of policy and the science.
Yeah. I texted with a student earlier, and that student wanted to do biology, but was like, this is going to be weird, but I want to minor in political science. And I was like, oh, please come, please come. I was like, that's what we want.
Absolutely. We have some other hands up, Carl or Harrison. One of you want to speak?
You talked about when the last which you highlighted in the program overview, financial support. You mentioned 20,000 base scholarship. I want to ask, who are those eligible for this? Because I will want to be one of these people.
Yeah, so we have
That's
merit
it.
scholarships that are usually awarded automatically and oftentimes to US students. So I would really encourage you to talk to, is Ahmed your admissions counselor? Who have you been working with? Yes. So talk to him, and I know he has been very active in working with students to make sure they are applying for every scholarship that they are eligible for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I understand you. Thank you.
Sounds like maybe we are winding down. So let me encourage you, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and therefore if anyone has more questions, they can email me and ask. So thank you again for attending. Appreciate all the good questions, and I wish you all a lot of good luck and good success in the next year.